Hello, everyone. This is Tony Smith here. I am excited to bring back our Mike Ferry podcast, the original, which I'm hoping you're getting a lot of great information from the time we spend together. If you like what we do, follow along with us. Keep in tune, more to come. Today, you are in for an incredible treat. I have got with me Mr. Miguel Soler from Santa Clarita area here in California, and we get to spend a little time together. So let's see what we can accomplish in our time. Miguel, thanks for being here.
Yeah, you bet, Tony. This is going to be fun. We've known each other for a while, so I know you're going to dig deep. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward.
of
Yeah,
course. So the first thing is tell everybody a little bit about how long you've been in the business, where your marketplace is. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
sure. So, fortunately, I started the business right out of college in 1999. I went to a seminar and then I ran into Mike Ferry seminar, or somebody was promoting it. So, 1999 was my first Mike Ferry event, which is where I signed up for coaching. So, I've been in the business for what, 27 years now, something like that. This month, I think I want to say. And what I did is I moved back to my hometown, Santa Clarita Valley, which is North LA County,
Mhm.
covers pretty much like Palmdale, Lancaster, which I do a little bit of business there, but mostly Santa Clarita Valley, San Fernando Valley. So I would look at this as more northern Los Angeles County, to say the least. Yeah.
Ah, okay. And so when you started, what market, where were you when you say I moved back home? Where were you when you started? I didn't know this.
Oh yeah. So I worked. I got recruited at school to work with Marcus and Millichap.
Ah,
Commercial, residential, multi-residential. And there, I was the office runner, and I would have to do a bunch of research. So I knew how to read, property profiles, et cetera. I could pretty much learn from the ground up. And then I got hired on as an agent, and they gave us a big book. They had bigger books, and I just started dialing, making phone calls from that book. And
wow.
that's how I picked up my first lead with Marcus and Millichap at the time.
So
Yeah.
you went straight to prospecting, but in a different context. And then what was it that drew you back to your hometown? Like, why go back home?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I had just started with Millichap as a real estate agent, and it's interesting because eventually we may talk about listing presentations, but I had a mentor, and he presented, and looking back at how he presented, I said, "Whoa, where's the enthusiasm and energy and the excitement about selling real estate?" Why I share that is because the door shut. We didn't end up getting that listing. And it was almost come list me, and we didn't get it. So at that time, I was running out of money. My grandfather, this is the sad part, but the great part is he was passing away from cancer. I was very close to him, and I just decided to come back home and regroup. Uh, would have loved to stay in San Diego, but came back home, regrouped, went through that process with him, and immediately jumped in interviewing professional real estate companies. And fortunately, I landed with Remax up here, which I'm still at Remax. And fortunately, Mike Ferry agent came to speak, and I signed up for I think it was called Productivity School. And I think you still call it, where we went over
Yeah.
scripts and dialogues
Yep.
with Matthew Ferry. Yeah.
So you jumped in there and you've been with Remax the whole time. So for virtually
Yep.
your whole career with that little small stint with Marcus and Millichap, but you basically spent a 26-year career here with the same company.
Yeah, correct. It's the number one company in town. You got big hitters here. I always associate with them. So it always levels up your game in terms of, what type of production they're doing, where you're at, and we all go through different seasons of life. So it's always, there's always something pulling you to be better and stronger, especially when you surround yourself around people like that, which is what you'll find inside the Mike Ferry organization, more so than the colleagues in my own town.
Yeah, and I mean, in our world, we're used to it at MFO where agents hop all over the place. They go to, eight companies in 6 years, right? And you're loyal that way. Obviously, is it because you just found the right spot and you don't consider looking over the fence, or why did you stay in it one spot?
That's a good question, and I've been asked that a couple times. And first of all, it's a great company, and it's a small reason why you just mentioned why I stayed. But the real reason is I noticed that real estate agents jumped companies beginning of the year because for some reason they felt that that could be like a fresh start. And I never believed in that because I always believe that I can give a better effort. I haven't given it the best effort, the full effort. I haven't bought in completely. I haven't there's things that I still that have left on the table that I can improve on. So I don't think if I had changed to ABC company that would have changed. So why change when you're with a top company, top competitor, top agents in town, and you still have more to offer in my own practice. So I don't think the name changes anything. I think your actions, your mindset, what you do daily is the most important thing.
See, and I hope people pick up on this, okay? A lot of people go out looking for some kind of external spark, something out there, change companies. Maybe that'll finally get me doing what I'm supposed to do. Where I heard you stay, I keep thinking internal.
Well, think
How
about
do
it.
you need to do better, right?
Yeah, think about it. All these companies, new companies that are offering, where you can recruit agents and make a residual off that. And I'm not putting that down at all because I think there's some great agents that are in those companies. There's great agents in the Mike Ferry organization that are able to do that. But in my mind is, I haven't reached my potential. Every single year is always a new goal, new ideal, fresh thoughts, and the truth is, the grass is greener right where I'm standing. Yeah.
Okay. I hope everybody pays attention. What I like most about it, Miguel, is you said I look internal. I need to grow. I'm
Yeah.
not looking for some kind of a magic, company or something that's going to change. And you keep going internal, which is one of the things I respect about how you run your business,
Yeah.
right? I
Well,
can't
it's the
help but say it.
truth,
I'm
right?
looking behind you. I see a calendar on the wall. I've got my calendar on the wall. What else is back there behind you?
On the board back there, there's we keep talking about sources of business,
Mhm.
and I started posting, I have my scripts over here, and I started posting little small things on my monitor and things that I need to see all the time because it's so easy to get inspired. Inspiration is really cheap. It's like a quick dopamine hit. And I don't say cheap as in don't seek it, because we all need to be inspired sometimes when we're going through rough times, rough seasons in life. But what I mean by cheap is just very short term, and maybe that's a better word. And so I keep things that I could see to remind me. And just coming back from a retreat, some of these things get erased, new ideas get thrown up. And for me, it's, focus. Focus is always, we've talked about certain behaviors that each one of us have that others have better than we do. And so we have to pay more attention to the deficiencies or the challenges that are internal and traits. And focus is one of mine, right? Because, I'm thinking 150
Yeah.
thoughts in one single second. So what I do is I just post things that I could see that brings me back to what I need to be doing on a daily basis. And part of that is, and we've talked about, is expanding our sources of business.
Oh
So
yeah. So you have the
that's
sources,
what
you have your
that checklist
calendar.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Have your scripts in front of you. They have all these things. And so for you, like many agents we know, focus is a little bit of a challenge. They struggle with being focused. So your approach to being focused is to put things in front of you that you can see in your view while you're working. And it just keeps drawing you back to what's most important.
Yeah.
I
It's
like
very
it.
simple, right? And I think sometimes I've overthought it, right? I've overthought it. So, but it's very simple, right? Just keep it very simple and new thoughts every week, every month, whatever it is, right? And chase it.
Mike Ferry Events, where top producing agents get sharper. The original real estate coaching. Get registered today and invest in yourself.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So yeah, obviously coming back from a retreat, which we all get fired up and it's usually a spot for us to reset. And I always love to have this a commitment that goes public, Miguel. And so we have this commitment. How many transactions are you going to do between June of now and next June?
65 transactions is my goal,
Yeah,
right?
you're going to do
Um,
65 deals over the next
yeah,
12-month window.
yeah.
How much will
And
you earn when you do 65 deals?
say again,
How much will you earn with 65 deals?
65 deals would be 1,075,000.
Yep, a little over $1 million and
Yeah.
65 deals. And I know for a fact that you're recommitted to that.
Well, it's about time, right, Tony? It's about time that we start breaking some big numbers. I went through a season of life that was challenging over the last 5 years, and again, all of us go through seasons. Sometimes we're at a very high productive level. Sometimes we're at a low productive level. So I know how to do transactions, and quite frankly, all those excuses are they were over a year ago, 2 years ago to be exact, right?
Yeah.
So just a matter about taking the right action.
This is the breakthrough year for you in that regard, and I have no doubt in my mind with that, right? We one of the things I did want to cover is a question. You've actually done a great job in what I would say managing a pretty robust, healthy social life with the kids and the all these things that you got going on, and you're an incredible dad to these kids that you have, and you manage to be involved. So,
Mhm.
what advice would you give for people that have want to be involved with their kids, but also want to produce at a high level? How do you do that?
That's a good question. From the outside in, people say that I'm busy.
Hmm.
From the inside out, that what I say is, what areas am I wasting time? What areas am I throwing away? And, lately I've been tying that because, it seems like every year, every summer, when the kids are out of school and it seems like it's a different summer schedule. And right when I get used to when they're in school, all of a sudden now they're out of school and I have to adjust to that, right? And so I just started really jotting down on a piece of paper, like where am I spending my time? One of the best exercises I've heard share this with me. I've heard from multiple audible books that I've read is, you know, you have a goal. Your competitor is not anybody in your office or somebody you're competing on your listing appointment. Your competitor is the distractions that are taking you off that goal. And so, when you don't have the right focus, it's very easy to fall into that comfort zone that is unproductive, that is safe, that is, more procrastination. It's just not a fun place to be. So, being in that place from time to time, you just get tired of it, and quite frankly, it starts affecting your bank account. And that doesn't turn up right. So, the advice that I would say is just write a schedule and make a list of the possible you got to play an offense off this, or a defense rather. Put a schedule down, write down what possibly could be this, areas of personal life that require your attention, and then get back on the, put it in the schedule and then recommit to finishing what you have for that day. And, it's a daily challenge. You're not going to perfect it. Definitely not going to perfect it. But one rule that I adopted, Tony, recently was never miss 2 days in a row.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Never miss 2 days in a row at the gym. Never miss, eating two bad meals, or miss, you don't want to eat two bad meals, uh, 2 bad days of eating. Never miss 2 days of prospecting back to back.
Ah.
Right. I mean, life gets in the way, but the second day that's just set up for a disaster for the rest of the week. And I've been there. I mean, many of us have,
Hmm.
right? It's just, set a new rule. And that's not my new rule that
I
I
think
think.
it's a great rule. We get to watch all this, and many of the agents watching this today will say, I'll have a bad day on a Wednesday, and then my mind is, well, I'll just get back on it next Monday. Right. And then so they have Wednesday a bad day, and then they have Thursday a bad day, Friday a bad day, mad all through the weekend, and then they say they recommit on Monday. Your rule is you can't have 2 bad days in a row. I love that thought.
Yeah. And on the bounce back is where you gain that, like yesterday was a very slow start to my day.
Hmm.
And, my first thought was like, I'm just going to throw in the towel. And immediately when I thought about that, I said, no, don't do that. I finished my prospecting,
Yeah.
not when I was supposed to, but I did for the day. I didn't have afternoon appointments. I wrapped it up. And here I am in the morning making my calls, on a group call, on a Zoom with you as well. After this, I'll jump back onto my calls and just work through the lunchtime. So yeah,
It's awesome. And
yeah.
you're good about things in the work that we do together. You report in when you say you're going to report in every afternoon and kind of rehash what happened to the day, you report in. And if you're speaking about yesterday that had a slow start, and then I get the text last night that said I set three appointments.
Yeah.
So your ability to hang in there and stick with it and stay in there ended up working out to be a magical day actually yesterday, right?
There's a lot to learn inside when you're focused as well. And what I've learned over the last, last week we're at a seminar, but what I've been learning is that when you're focused in what you're doing, you end up learning new things about the things you're doing,
Hmm.
right? Like, for example, I was just calling sphere of influence, and one of my clients is works for the fire department. Well, he's been in the fire department in probably about 5 years, ready to retire. And I asked, I used the Larry Kozak script. I'm like, right now I'm looking for buyers and sellers that I can, sellers and buyers that I can help, right? So I've been using that script all morning. And what's interesting is what he mentions, oh, well, there's a lot of new guys, right? So I made a note to myself as first responders, nurses, policemen, who I've gotten plenty, law enforcement, I've got plenty of referrals. And then fire department, there's always new guys, new people coming in the funnel. And so my job, I wrote it down today, it was like, I have to train my the mentors of these kids, right? Because I mean, the kids that are coming in, the younger generation, look up to, people that have experience, wisdom, been in the department longer, and they're also asking them for advice on home ownership, right? So I said, okay, well, this is a good avenue to pay attention to. So my point is, when you're focused, when you're prospecting, especially inside your prospecting session, you're learning new things that become important and angles to have conversations with and opportunities where you can go look for more business.
Wow, I think about that just opened up my mind about some thoughts with this, Miguel. You think, okay, so I have first responders that are retiring, and if I train them to mentor the new people coming on board, the new fireman, the new nurse, and I teach them that I'm their real estate agent and the beauty of home ownership, that could also apply to our database that's retiring and moving to Florida or moving somewhere else in the world, right? We can work with them and make sure that their kids and grandkids, we can teach them that
100%.
introduce me to that world, and then it just keeps the cycle going.
Correct.
That little point right there, I think if everybody that's watching this doesn't write that down and figure out how to do that, they're missing it. There's something that I know you've done, and I apologize if it's not happening anymore, but I know for years and years, you would meet with some of the other top agents right there in your little town.
Yeah.
And you guys would meet like once tell about this, like this, you guys are competitors. So tell me about how this came about and what was the context of those meetings every week?
Yeah, so I still continue to do it, and what it is, it's there's a handful of agents that are really professional, honest, care about their clients, that do a ton of business in town, and the group, Neil had put this group together before I started the business. So the group's been around. The group's been around for 35, 6, 7 years, maybe something like that.
Wow.
And what we do is we just go in and we can just kind of share what's going on with the market, but most importantly, listings that our clients potentially would be putting on for sale, buyers that we're trying to put buyers and sellers together. But the key thing in here is when you go to these meetings and you don't have business to present, it starts, you have to take a deep look inside and say, okay, why are they doing more business than I am? Or what are they doing to get business? And not even that. What do I need to be doing? Right? Because the other thought is defeating, right? Comparing, like, what are they doing? That's the first lane to destruction in my mind.
Yep.
For me, I look back saying, okay, what do I need to do when I get back to the office? Who do I need to call? What lead will do something now? And it just kind of ignites a little fire under you to just be more productive, right? And so there's two benefits to that group.
Yeah. So you just, like, if you're watching this, just figure this out. Like, I remember Mike Ferry asking me once early in my career, he said, Tony, do you feel like you're competing against every agent in town? And yes, I compete against everybody. I want to beat them all. And he said, Tony, it's probably you and maybe a dozen other agents in your town with different offices. And it's really all of you competing against all the agents that don't know what they're doing. Right. And so I think about what you guys have done. You got this group of professionals that meet once a week. You're sharing ideas, sharing coming soon listings, sharing buyers, and not everybody worked for the same company. But you guys all decided that this is a little bit of a community right within my community. It's spectacular. And I believe that many agents that are great producers like you around the country should consider doing this kind of thing.
Well, think about it, right? I mean, it's if you don't have that opportunity, for anybody who's listening to this call, right? So if that opportunity doesn't present itself in your market, think about the environment that's inside the Mike Ferry organization, right? It probably wasn't until 10 years ago where I really started seeking out, like deeply seeking, intentionally seeking relationships in the organization. And, you see the same people. I've been going there for all my career, right? So you see people that agents that have grown, that have retired already. I'm like, it's great, but you can develop this type of internal competition just by staying connected with some powerful people in this organization. And understand one thing: it doesn't mean that they sound better when they're prospecting or they're doing something different. Most of these people are just super consistent. Many of them are great on the phone. I'm not putting that down. But the core thing that I've picked up over the last 27, but really 10 years as I'm connecting and getting in these mastermind and prospecting groups is that they show up every single day. Right. And so I have to look at myself and be honest okay, why am I committing to this? Am I committing to this because it sounds good? Am I committing to something that I want to do? And so again, it's an internal check. And when you're part of groups like that, if you're not showing up and it's showing up from time to time, obviously that's going to reflect in your business. And then secondly, there's also a level of guilt that starts showing up because you're not being consistent, right? And it's not just these groups, it's in your prospecting, it's in your personal life, it's in your health, it's in your fitness. It's very interesting how there's a domino effect.
Yeah.
Most agents scroll, top agents study. Follow Mike Ferry on all platforms and think like top real estate agents do.
That consistency is the key. It just jogged a thought in my mind that we all heard again last week, show up, pay attention, tell the truth, and don't be attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little coaching always kicks in with me at times. If you look at those 4 words, show up, you do a good job of showing up. Okay. Pay attention. You send me notes on every coaching call, and when you say you're going to check in, you check in. Paying attention is a big deal. Tell the truth. I've gotten really nothing from you but the truth. Like, you always are bringing forward the real challenges, the real issues you're dealing with. And then the fourth one is don't be attached to the outcome. If there was one of those that was a little soft spot for Miguel, which one of those 4 would you say that if you had to work on one of those 4 characteristics, which one do you need to lean in on a little bit?
Don't be attached to the outcome.
Okay.
I think a lot of times we say that because it sounds good and I really don't care. But I mean, ultimately, if you have to think about it, you already care, right? And so for me, it's hitting that reset button and understand this. You have to have I'm learning to have some more grace on myself, that not permission not to do my job, but sometimes there's things that are out of your control. Maybe some days you just didn't feel like prospecting. You might have, but it wasn't like that powerful session where you left all high, on a high.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to think about it. What happened? Forgive yourself for it. Laugh about it, maybe, and then just keep moving forward. Because it's you can't beat something that doesn't give up. You can't beat somebody that doesn't give up. And ultimately we give up on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
It's by that little attachments once in a while.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Because that's exactly what I thought you might say, knowing you as well as I do, that maybe a little attachment at times. And if you could move yourself from that a little bit, you would
think about how easy it is to give up on yourself, right? Versus, my kids, right? I mean, we don't give up on other people. Why do we give up on the most important person, right? And which is us, right? So we can be better for them.
This is so good. Well, time flies in these things. I got to tell you, we're cruising right along, and that was a quick session. Thank you for your input on this.
Yeah, it was fun.
For those of you watching, if you like what we're doing here, if you really appreciate the valuable information from top producers like Miguel, first of all, if you have referrals, send them out his way. But also, you like us, follow us, tune into these podcasts. Mike's got stuff tuned up. Sabrina's got stuff tuned up. I'm going to bring some stuff to the table. We're going to keep bringing anything and everything we can for you to be a better listing agent. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for your time. Thanks, Miguel.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate your time.